Hey, welcome to Reckoning Brothers, everybody. I've got my vintage Playboy ashtray. I've got my Jameson. I've got my whiskey and soda.
Nice. I've got my whiskey and ice.
Well, in old movies, especially old British movies, you'll notice in many scenes where the British guy will say, uh, would you like a whiskey and soda, mate? A whiskey and soda? And I never paid that much mind. And you never, of course I knew they weren't drinking bourbon. I'm like, well, it must be Scotch, like, well, it's probably not Canadian whiskey because why would anybody in Britain drink Canadian whiskey? And, and I thought, well, is it Scotch? And so I Googled it and was like, yeah. So when they would say, uh, uh, what's that other term that the British use when they're talking to you? Not mate, but, governor,
Wanker. It's
governor.
one who masturbates. Yeah,
Governor,
I know that's a big
governor,
one.
governor.
Governor.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
I interest you in a whiskey and soda, mate? It's Irish whiskey. So I tried an Irish whiskey and soda. It was fucking delicious. And
That sounds pretty good.
I've
You
been
know
grit-
what? You know what I like about I wouldn't say like, but old movies have this a lot, and it's really weird to watch now. Is there'll be a scene where a woman's freaking out, and a dude will just smack her, and then she'll like calm down, and like the movie views that as a good thing. Like, oh yeah, like women get crazy, and then the guy just has to smack her, and then she calms down, and everything's fine. And it happens in like a lot of movies
or like
too.
when
Like this isn't.
When Jimmy Cagney took the grapefruit and smashed it into his girlfriend's face.
Don't remember that scene, but it checks out. I totally believe that. But yeah, it's just like the one will be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, smack.
So as you know, I had to put BG. Well, just going to start out with for anybody out there who's lost a pet. So I put BG to sleep um, 3 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago tomorrow, I think. And puppy CJ is so. I think I told her she's only eating out of BG's bowl. She won't eat out of her bowl. And there was nuggets left over in BG's bowl. I never picked BG's bowl up because after you put a dog to sleep, you don't really feel like moving any of their stuff. You're just going to leave it there.
Yeah,
Right?
it took us a while too. Yeah,
Yeah. So eventually, I guess I'll pick it up. Um, and of course, it's tough. It was tough for me, and I cried when I was holding her and they put her to sleep. I haven't cried since then. It might be because I don't know. You go through life, you have a lot of pets. So obviously, it would be harder for somebody who's never had to do something like that. But when you're doing the humane thing, etc., yes, of course you're sad, but I mean, I've seen and have known people that like went through deep, deep, trauma and depression after, and it's very sad. But puppy CJ, just to clarify, she's not a puppy anymore. She's full grown. I called her puppy because BG was her grandmother, and I said to myself, "Well, I will oftentimes refer you to puppy as puppy as long as BG's alive, and BG's not alive anymore." But so, in the middle of the night, um, puppy gets up, CJ gets up, and she goes and she sits in precisely the same spot where BG would sleep on the floor in here, and she just sits there wide awake.
hmm.
She just sits there wide awake. So instead of sitting up in the chair in the chair next to me, the spot that I had for both of them, um, all the time, right? The only time she would get down would be to play with BG. BG didn't like sitting up in that chair after she got really, really old, except for a few minutes, and then she preferred staying on the floor. It was cooler. She was, old and fat, and wanted the coolest spot. But now, instead of sitting up in that chair constantly, she goes and lays down in that exact same spot. And she also lays down in one other spot, and that's next to BG's bowl. And it's been 3 weeks, and she's still doing it.
Do you find as you get older that you also like to be on the floor where it's cooler, or do you still like to sit on chairs? Might not have reached that, and you're not getting. You're probably not fat enough yet. You'll get.
I was going to make a really crude joke, but I'm afraid it'd be too embarrassing for me. I was gonna say, never mind. I'm not gonna do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
you you, you
So
wanted
and then
you
yeah, and
wanted to
then the
shit
other
on some
so
people. You said before, right? There were some people you felt we should really shit on and
well
put in their place.
before we get to that, I want to know
Okay,
why in California progressive leftists, the same progressive leftists who are always lecturing people about
sounds
like
like we are getting to that, but yeah.
well like somebody will talk about how their 15-year-old or their 14-year-old just got a job somewhere, and they're like blah 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 child labor. So they had these child laborers on a weed farm, right? Um, filled with illegal aliens, and the federal government came in there and broke it up, and they're all mad about that. Calling ICE Nazis, etc. So some guy was shooting at them, right? And everybody else was throwing rocks at them. That I I saw these windows getting smashed. These guys were throwing rocks at the ice vehicles, and then some guy who was not being pursued in any way, shape, or form decided to climb up on the roof of one of the greenhouses, and he fell off of it and died. So that everybody, all the leftists in California and all over social media and all over the world, they're all claiming that he was murdered by ICE. And so
Seems a bit far fetched.
what what is with what is with child labor on weed farms and your governor like talking about how like it's inhumane it's inhumane to go round up like the same people say, well, you should go after the businesses that are using child labor. So that happened, and they're claiming ICE killed somebody, and everybody else is claiming they're just innocent people out picking our vegetables. What the fuck is going on out there, Scott? Give me a full report.
There's a lot of things going on. People definitely don't like ICE. I don't like the ICE raids either. I don't like people getting deported that have been here for years. I don't like the theater of it. I don't like the MacArthur Park thing. I think it's a man's ego more than something that's going to help the country. I think that if you're going to deport a million people a year, like he says, there's going to be people that are getting deported that I don't think deserve it. We can get into the weeds. We can talk about legality and all that kind of stuff. But my point simply is that Californians don't like ICE. They don't like the raids. I'm one of those people that don't like it as well. But there's also a bunch of idiot leftists that are doing stupid shit at the same time, right? I think what should be happening here is all of that money, all that time, all that effort should be put into getting illegal alien criminals out of here. And if it's only 1,000 a year and not a million a year, I don't give a fuck. I would rather have 1,000 violent criminals gone than a million deportees, and you just
Well,
hope for
that's
the.
being done, right?
I know it's being done,
I
but I
mean, no,
also
it's
know that
no, it's
there's also there's also law enforcement agencies that hate each other and don't work together. Have you heard these stories about LAPD and ICE and not working together and all this interagency conflict nonsense?
well, the
These are
rank
our
and file.
tax dollars, dude. We're libertarians here, generally speaking. I hate seeing this. It's a waste. It's stupid. It's foolish. And I can't get over the fact. Convince me I'm wrong of this. When I see these ICE raids, I see Donald Trump's ego. I don't see someone that wants to make this world better in a smart, concise, meaningful, logical, rational way.
I see it differently. I see Joe Biden, after having let in millions of unvetted illegal aliens into the country, the vast majority of whom are being taken into custody and sent to a holding facility to be deported, have criminal records. Now, yes, there are varying, depending on which news outlet you want to believe. Some news outlets say it's 70% or not, or, don't have, are not, don't have not been convicted of a crime. The new law passed by Congress a little while back, said specified charged with a crime or convicted of a crime. And the reason why they used charged with a crime, I believe, had to do with several cases like Lake and Riley, 12-year-old girl in Texas. It's at Jocelyn Nungary. So the woman in Maryland with 5 kids, where what happened was people, illegal aliens in cities with no cash bail, were arresting people and releasing them right away, and then they were going to a different part of the country and they killed people, they murdered people.
And that's obviously awful. And the no bail thing is ridiculous too.
Yeah. So
It's
for
fucked
every
up bad.
action there's a an equal or greater reaction. I do, and yes, but neither of us voted for Cheeto, and
How
I
does
think
the theater not piss you off? How as a libertarian does theater not just get under your fucking guts? And it's bad theater too. It's making things worse. The optics of this, it looks so bad. But these raids, Home Depot is being raided, and dude, I
well
tell
that
everybody here hates it, dude. Left,
well
right, center, everybody hates
well
it, dude.
the optics are bad, but the reason why you're seeing the optics is because of the advent of activists with cell phones and the media. Barack Obama deported 3.5 million people, did family deportation raids, tear gassed migrant children at the border, and housed kids in cages. But
Yeah,
you
but
didn't
he
hear about
absolutely did, and the media
you
should
didn't
have
hear about
focused on
any
that.
of that. You didn't hear about any of that unless it was on conservative or libertarian media.
Exactly, because media hates
So
Trump and it's all about hating Trump.
so
But it
so
still
what
sucks.
you're
It's
seeing
still bad.
what you're seeing now is what you would have seen then had it been focused on and highlighted by as many people as are doing it, right? At least you're consistent. At least you're not a hypocrite, because what do we do here? We mock hypocrisy. Um, I am consistent in that I agreed with Barack Obama when he deported 3.5 million illegal aliens. You're consistent because you believe had those optics been publicized to the extent that they are today, would have been bad then and they're bad now. And you're also consistent on that you think that you truly believe that there has to be a way to discern and separate ICE raids that are at an MS-13 gang hangout and ICE raids that are at a car wash arresting somebody who's been here for 15 years, maybe stole a social security number to pay taxes, has it
I
maybe has a DUI or a minor offense, but is otherwise no threat to the country.
You
And
and
is,
I have met these people that have been here for years, that
oh,
are working, that don't deserve to be deported, and some of them are going to be deported because of a number of a million a year.
well,
It's just the why the no. I don't care about a million a year. Why is he saying a million a year? Whether it's I don't care. I don't care who's saying it. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Obama. A million a year means that people are going to get deported, that most Americans, had they known their story, this isn't about the law. The law's number one. I get it. I get it. But still, if most Americans knew the story of a lot of these people that got deported, they would not want this to happen
I agree with that.
because the
Sure,
number's too high.
yeah, I
And
agree with that.
just do things smart. Why can't this is why I'm a libertarian, partly because of you, maybe mostly because of you, and have been for the past like fucking 30 years, is because government can't do shit right. They can't do shit right. And if at least they'd slow down and make the number smaller, there's a better chance that they do shit right.
Well, you and I both know, Scott. We both know that if these ICE raids were covert and undercover, right? If they were done at night and they were plainclothes people, um, doing it, uh, big time on the down low, that would get more headlines than out in the open raids. So yeah, uh, of course, yeah.
I don't know, man. I think raids. See, when I hear raids, right? I know not all raids are the same, but I can't help but think of like no knock raids, Breonna Taylor. Of all the shit that happened, the BLM shit, the Breonna Taylor shit was legitimately fucked up. She should not have died. No knock raids and all that kind of shit. Big government coming in, and I hate the optics. I hate the feel. It feels un-American to me. I don't want to see that. I don't. And okay, so people came up here during the Biden administration, and there were all those stupid incentives that should have never existed for them to come up here. Hey, here's your credit card with $5,000 on it. Have a good day. We're not going to send you back. Have a good day. This should have never happened. Borders should have been secure. This should have never happened. I agree 100%. But it did happen, and they are here. And if someone's here working, you can convince me that they should be deported if they've been here in a certain amount of time. Yeah, I get it, but it doesn't mean I have to fucking like it. And as an American, it feels gross. And the farther they've been here, the grosser it feels. 5 years someone's been here working, it feels fucking gross if they're just working at a fruit stand and they've been deported. And if if for every five criminals there's two of those people, is it worth it? I don't fucking know, man. But I'm not convinced of it. I don't like the raids. I don't like the optics. It feels gross, and when Trump talks about it, it feels inhumane, and I don't like it. I don't think it's what America needs. I don't like the feel. I don't like the othering. America needs less othering right now.
I
This
agree with that.
othering is so fucking gross, dude. I
Yeah,
don't know. That's my
I
two
agree with that.
cents. That's all I got to really say about it, I guess.
So I may have lost the screenshots that I said because we were going to talk about intersectionality for a little bit, and I texted
Oh,
those
yeah,
to
that
you.
one's way more fun.
Intersectionality.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for it.
You get to keep score in intersectionality. I love the ladder of the whole thing. That's what's so fun about it. Is when people fight over like, oh, it was trans, like where does trans go? But then if you're black trans, where does that go? And what's really lower or what's really higher? And it's
Well,
I
I
don't know.
like
The theory of it is silly and fun.
I like to
I
call
love
it
it. It's so dumb.
the ladder of victimhood, the ladder of the victimhood hierarchy, right? The victim,
Oh yeah,
right? So with so many with so many different oppressed groups clawing and vying, clawing at each other for a rung on
yeah.
that ladder.
It's exactly what it is. It's so
But I don't have the
crazy to watch.
screenshot on, so I'll just even though I'm drinking and I'm getting older and my memory fails me sometimes. So what happened was, I guess the Stonewall Museum, and maybe some other entities decided to drop the bi um, part of the LGBTQIA acronym because it implies that there are only two genders, and people lost their minds, and
That's so
I
great.
forget. Well,
So perfect. It was so
some,
inevitable. Like,
somebody made a great joke about it. I wish I'd been the one. And it was like, you don't understand. Corporate decided that
no,
the
no, wait,
bi
I have it. I have it. I have it.
do it. Read it.
It's yeah, it's by someone named IEL Danth, however you pronounce it. You aren't being erased. You're being transferred to the PAN department as part of the reorganization process. Corporate felt it was redundant having two separate categories. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. But doesn't it seem like I didn't think this would happen, but now that it's happened, it seems like inevitable, right? Like, of course that was going to happen. Bisexual means there's two sexes. It is in conflict.
with
It's
the
so
trans
hilarious. It's
with the
so hilarious.
with trans activism, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah, and you see the same thing in like especially, and so I go to Chicago because I love listening to jazz, and I go to jazz clubs. But so when like um and of course we were just talking about you know illegal aliens. They had a huge migrant influx problem in black neighborhoods in Chicago and other cities, right?
I
And
remember there was you would watch footage of the town
right?
hall meetings.
And so
It was great.
I forget what the acronym BIPOC means. I think it means Black Intersectional blah blah blah, whatever it means.
Black and indigenous people of
Yeah,
color.
exactly, right. So that's a whole intersectional thing. But when the Hispanics moved into the when the Hispanics moved into the black neighborhood, everything went off the rail. They weren't intersectional anymore. They all fucking hated each other.
All you need to do to lose your place on the ladder is be conservative. right? So like Larry Elder, like, of course, blackface of white supremacy, which is the most hilarious thing ever.
Yeah,
Cuban Americans that vote for Trump, they lost all their Hispanic credit, in the
I,
intersectionalist hierarchy. It was so funny.
I actually had to. Somebody white explained something to a black professor. By the way, I went and saw Superman. It was
Mm,
a dud.
mm,
Um, I almost fell asleep about 8 times.
yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't awful. Um, and it's hard for me. And it's not. I'm not saying it because people said it was going to be woke. Because yeah,
Apparently, it wasn't. I
it
heard it
had some
wasn't
woke.
woke really at all.
Well, half the people on social media believe that like the bad guys in the war that Superman tried to stop is Israel. And everybody else is like, well, they all had like Russian kind of, former Soviet Union like republic accent. So like this was obviously a metaphor for, Russia versus Ukraine, and then
Mm.
then the anti-Israel, anti-Zionist faction was like, "Oh, it's so refreshing to see a director and a producer put in. And they made Israel the villain, and it's great. It's great."
In Hollywood, I don't think that's possible for Israel to be the villain. Do you know anything about Hollywood?
Well, oh,
There's
you
there,
mean
there's a rumor that it's run by a certain group of people who,
it's run by
you know,
you people?
a certain group of, let's say, Israeli friendly people is what they say. Have you seen the producer credits to any movie or any TV show? People actually thought that. That's wild, man. That's wild. I haven't seen it yet. I think I was telling you there's only been like two good Superman movies out of like 30, however many there's
Which
been.
two?
And one of
Which
them was
two?
Christopher Reeves. The other one was Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, which also wasn't like fantastic. It was just pretty good. It's like,
It was pretty good.
I don't know what it is about Superman.
So since we're on the subject of Superman, and then we'll get back to so Dean Cain, who was the New Adventures of Superman
Yeah,
TV
yeah, I
star,
remember that.
right? Really nice guy, handsome guy. He's a reserve police officer in his hometown. Hollywood doesn't like him because he's you know conservative and a Christian, and he's adopted, and he decided to leave the entertainment industry to raise his son, et cetera, et cetera. And for the crowd that gives standing ovations to Roman Polanski, that's just too much to bear.
Yeah.
So so they hate his guts. Um, and so he tweeted out today that he was going to go see the new Superman movie and report back. And of course, he had said, in a couple of prior tweets that he heard it was gone woke, and he doesn't know because he hasn't seen it yet, but he's going to go see it, and so today he reiterated he's going to go see it, and he was looking forward to it, and some guy goes, "You were never Superman. You weren't Superman. You were shit man." And I feel a little bit good that Dean Cain liked my tweet because I said to this guy, I said, this is the end of Dean Cain. Good tweet. Uh, like, no, like people have nothing better to do with their lives than to, say all,
Shit on Dean Cain of all people. Like,
I mean,
what did he?
he's like the nicest guy in the world. Like,
Uh,
how many people worth $10 million do you know spend a significant portion of their time as a reserve police officer? Zero, right?
there's a
Like,
few.
he
There's a
raises
few
money.
like there's a few
He ra-
Hollywood people that do that. Like, they tend to be a bit conservative. Gary Sinise and Steve Buscemi on the down low was a firefighter and helped. Yeah, yeah, helped. What was it? 9/11, right?
Yeah,
And he wanted no credit for it. He did it all on the down low. He didn't talk about it, and he
yeah,
was actually there, cleaning shit up. That's
yeah,
fucking huge, man. That's awesome. You don't have to
yeah,
do any of that. He was already huge by that time.
yeah. And I just, like, anyway. So, yeah, so the new Superman was kind of a dud. It's
Hmm.
okay. Superman Returns, and people are going to dunk on me. I probably would be too embarrassed to like put it on like a big platform and say, unpopular opinion, Superman Returns is the best Superman movie, but it's a really good movie. I, it probably has to do with you know, growing up watching the reruns of the original Superman with George Reeves, Superman, was never into comic books. So I know that in the comic books, and I know from, you know, the movies that Superman faces intergalactic enemies, um, along with domestic enemies like Lex Luthor. But of course, you know who General Zod is, and et cetera, et cetera. You know who they are. But in the TV series, Superman was Truth, Justice, and the American Way, was helping Americans in America. Now, he did occasionally fly overseas to you know help, even in the series, even in that old TV series, flew overseas to help other countries that were like going to experience a coup, etc. So I get that. The Superman Returns kind of like had a major focus on and Kevin Spacey is, I think he's probably a bad person, but Kevin Spacey was a really good actor. Kevin Spacey played a great Lex Luthor in Superman Returns, and and like he's in the United States, he's in America, helping Americans, saving Americans, truth, justice, the American way, and so I admit to an internal bias as to like I I I feel like I would enjoy a Superman movie if it had more of that and less of like intergalactic enemies coming in, the monsters. There's a great big giant monster that Lex Luthor creates in this new movie. I forget what it looks like. It looks like some. It looks like some. I don't know, like some. What do they call Pikachu? Pikachu is a part of what?
He's a Pokemon. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like
that's the
there's
problem
like
with
some.
all of these, right? Like late Marvel and everything is like they've lost their heart. It's all about special effects. It's all about, like you said, intergalactic enemies. It's all about these really bad humor. They have like this really snarky
Oh, the
like
dialogue in
one-liners
this
all the
movie is
time.
so. At times, it's like it's insufferable. It's unbearable. I got up and left before the complete ending because it was when everybody was congratulating each other on how they won. Like when you already know what's going to happen at the end. Like
Yeah,
everybody's like Superman saved everybody and everybody's happy again now. And it's just people slapping each other on the back. So I didn't even stay to watch the end credits. It had way too much busy CGI. Like it was assaulting to my eyes.
mm,
Younger crowds maybe like that, etc. People that are used to playing like really exotic video games where there's just like all, the Transformer generation where all this stuff is going on, and there's like I can't even imagine how people create it. Quite frankly, it's like the genius that goes into creating that stuff fascinates me, stuns me, mind boggles me, overwhelms me. But to me, it's too much of an assault on my senses.
I feel that.
I, huh?
I feel that. I understand that. You should also know in the video game world, there's a pretty big split. There's a lot of people that appreciate kind of a minimalist approach to video games. The game Elden Ring, for instance, is really big and it's got a very simple interface. You don't see a lot going on the screen, right? There's combat and everything, but generally speaking, it's kind of slow paced. There's nothing really on the screen except a small little bar with information and what you see, and a lot of people really love that because it gets rid of this kind of just over like monetized just stuff thrown at you every few seconds, which is what video games are, especially ones that are geared more towards young people.
It's sensory
Fortnite,
overload,
it gets
man. It's got to
crazy.
be
Yeah,
sensory. It's got to be sensory overload for people that aren't cut out for it, right?
yeah, yeah. It's a bit much. It's a bit much, but I
Let
think
me.
maybe it is an age group thing, but not really, not really. There's plenty of young people that I think can appreciate something a little bit more simple
I,
graphically, that's
I
more
would think
based on story that you can really engross yourself in, and not just the
what I'm
flash.
really yearning for, since like all the fight scenes and everything are all CGI. Where's my bookmarks? They're there. I am really looking forward to a director, a producer, and a director to team up to do a gritty, uh, hardcore, violent, um, crime drama, cop movie, where the fight scenes are, are real. Like the actor is trained to know how to punch somebody
Mm.
without hurting them that badly. Like the way they did it back in the day. Or sometimes it wasn't even like faking it. Like Duke Wayne and Lee Marvin got in a fight in Donovan's Reef, and Lee Marvin was like this badass former Marine, and he talked about he was being interviewed, and he talked about how like they um, they were both you know drinking a lot and partying a lot back then, and they partied a lot the night before, and they were in bad moods, and you know, and so like they're filming this fight scene, and they're like this, and part of the fight, of course, like you're, you're supposed to just graze the guy, and they would get the camera angles right. It would look like the guy got punched, but he was really, not getting punched full on. However, he was getting punched hard enough to feel it. But these guys were used to that because they grew up fighting. And there's this one part where like they didn't they didn't put in a breakaway table, and Duke knew it, and he was mad at Marvin about something, or Marvin was mad at him about something, and they're fighting, and Lee Marvin hit or Duke Wayne hit Lee Marvin so hard, I think he broke his jaw, and he um, broke his back on a table that was real and not a breakaway table. So
Mm.
yeah, we're not talking about that, but like,
Yeah,
all,
you don't need to go that extreme. But you've
right?
seen like, have you seen Nobody? Do you know that movie is by
No,
the John Wick director? It's one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. That's only maybe like 3 years old.
well,
All real.
John Wick, the John Wick movies is a perfect example of what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. John Wick is perfect for that. Yeah, yeah.
Where a lot of those fight scenes are just so busy and
It's all
so
practical effects, no special effects, no digital shit. It's just, yeah, Keanu Reeves and all of the extras is being badass professionals and doing a great job. Yeah,
yeah.
I'd love to see more of that and less CGI, man.
So I love this professor. His name is Wilfred Riley. He's a brilliant man, and this is what he wrote. The United States has spent, and this kind of goes to intersectionality a little bit. The United States has spent the last 60 to 70 years obsessively promoting the idea that minorities and women are awesome. An entire month is devoted specifically to the history of Black people. Another month plus, 90 days, honors homosexuals. Racial and sexual discrimination have been formally illegal since 1964. And institutional affirmative action on both race and sex grounds dates to 3 years later. At present, 77% of teachers are female, and 86% of them are leftists. Takes about the conservative white supremacist, takes about, he means takes that are like opinions about, takes about, quote, the conservative white supremacist patriarchy are so annoying and silly because they come in this environment, but remain unchanged since 1954. And he's so right about all of that. And here's what a white woman leftist said to him: I'm not sure why you deny who you are. You are of the white nationalists, patriarchy. Why are white nationalists such cowards? Be proud to be a white nationalist. You are a white to
It's like
to
that's a 10-year-old, dude.
to
That's
a,
a 10-year-old saying shit in school to like another kid. That's it's that level of depth. So dumb.
well, what reminded me of that is like the L.A. Times piece that said Larry Elder was the blackface of white supremacy,
Class.
because
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite.
so many people on the left do this, and that it's and ergo that's why you get a lot of one-liners going. The racism is coming from the left because so often it does. I my
Hmm.
very brief reply to this person was white explaining to a black person what and who they are. Put your Klan hood on and go fuck yourself. I really, really despise people that try. So we're talking about Hollywood. We're talking about this. It seems like more often, like people who celebrate diversity are the least diverse of all people. Like whether it's in Hollywood or whether it's the online left.
I think
Like,
there's two big issues with the way they view diversity. One, there's no diversity of thought, right? And
yeah,
also, to a lot of those people, diversity just means Black American. It doesn't mean anything else.
doesn't mean
Like,
anything else.
which is just it's so insulting to Black Americans too. Like I don't see how you wouldn't get insulted by someone just parading you out and saying that that's the special person that we all need to take care of. It's
Well,
just
yes, and imagine, yeah, well,
silly.
yes, and imagine if it'd been somebody other than Joe Biden, than the political party Joe Biden is in, who'd said things like, going to keep you all, they want to put you all back in chains. Poor kids are just as smart as white kids, which is code for blacks are dumb. Um, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black.
Oh
All
yeah.
that, like no, like really, like any politician who wasn't a member of the Democratic Party would have, their career would have been over, like
Yeah.
over in 20 minutes. Like they never would have been elected as dog catcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's but you have the two different standards. You have the two separate standards. The You'll never ever see one of the left leaning networks mention the outrageous things that the organized left says online, and missions that the causes that they are obsessed with.
The worse than any of that, the most racist, horrible thing that any lefty politician's ever done is when Hillary Clinton said she keeps a bottle of hot sauce in her purse.
Yeah,
There's
I,
no way. I call bullshit. I
I
call
keep hot.
bullshit on
Oh
that.
yeah, it's totally never
That's
fucking
the
happened.
most pandering, racist.
I keep
Just
hot sauce in my bag.
yeah.
You know what?
Right.
And almost as bad was that they laughed about it in that in that forum that she was, whatever forum that was, a podcast, I think. Um, I would have called her out on it. I would have said, "What?"
Yeah.
Like
Show
they,
me.
they remind no,
Show
they
me.
reminded me. They reminded me of a mainstream journalist who's listening to somebody, say something stupid, and they're just, sitting there like nodding their head in agreement. It's just so like, why would you put up with that? Why would you, over politics, man? Over politics. Why would you? Why do people? Okay, so what did you have, Scott? What do you want to tell me about intersectionality?
What do I want to tell you about intersectionality? It's well, I think what I said in the beginning is hilarious. I have to view it as hilarious because you know who said it best? John McWhorter, when he talked about intersectionality, or he talked about, well, he was talking specifically about critical race theory, but it's all kind of the same shit. He said it would be interesting to critical theory. I think critical theory in general will be interesting as one of 100 ways to look at a given situation. If it were just another one of those ways that you could use to look at a certain scenario or situation, it would be interesting. But the problem is people see it as an important way and the one way that you're supposed to look at everything. Right? If it was just another way, like another view that we could sometimes pull out of our bag that would maybe shine a light in a certain way at a given scenario as one of the many many ways of looking at something, which is what any intelligent person should do. There's no one cause equals one effect is not how the world works. Everything's complicated, right? If that were just another tool, great, but it isn't. It's a religion that you're supposed to worship and act and stay in the strict dogmatic lane.
It is a religion, and it's so bizarre because you end up with groups that align with each other over single issues, like Israel, for example. Like
Here's
you
for
cannot, you,
Palestine.
you cannot, like Israel and the war in Gaza. You cannot absolutely not look at a single social media post that gets any engagement whatsoever, right? Or much less any one of them that goes viral. It gets a lot of engagement from a big account, a small account, whatever, on Blue Sky, Twitter, any of them, where if a leftist says blah 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 genocide, half of the people that slide into the comment section are fucking Nazis, and vice versa. I bet you didn't know that.
That half the people that slide into the comments of someone that says that Israel's committing genocide are
So, like
Nazis.
leftists like Crystal Ball and others,
Hmm.
um, many, many, many others who are anti-Israel, I think simps for Hamas, um, who will do a tweet, and they do this on Blue Sky. They'll do uh, about Israel's the bad guy, Israeli
Yeah,
genocide,
yeah, yeah.
Zionists deny. Half of the people, at least 30% of the people that slide into the comments section are fucking Nazis.
And while you're talking classical Nazi.
It's well, I'm talking like it's the intersection of extremely online right wing people that are going to go Trump
Extreme,
support.
like someone that would take the label Nazi and be happy with it. You're talking about
Oh yeah,
extreme right
absolutely.
wing online Nazi.
Extreme right wing
Yeah,
online.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
extreme right wing.
No, I didn't know that. But I believe you. That makes sense. I can see it happening for sure. Horseshoe theory, like a motherfucker, right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean it's absolutely true, and it's extremely bizarre. It's like, uh, and I have said, the intersection of the far left and the far right on the issue of Gaza, Israel, the blood label of genocide, hating Zionism and Zionists, using the word Zionist or Zionism as code to cover for your anti-Semitism. Because as I've said before, when you're using so many people, so many on the online left and right, far left and far right, use the word Zionism as a substitute for Jew
yeah.
or Jewish, and they do it on purpose. And it's like saying what you're doing is no different than saying, well, I really don't hate Italians, but Italy shouldn't exist. Because all Zionism is the notion that Israel has a right to exist. So the other thing about intersectionality is, well, no, the same thing, like what we were just talking about, like these groups that come together, of course, at one point or another, they all vie for a rung on the victimhood ladder. So you have Black Lives Matter alliance with the SPLC, the LGBTQIA plus um, flag, Free Palestine movement. The LGBTQIA movement aligning with the Free Palestine movement is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Like that.
It gets
That's why
so funny though.
That's why intersectionality is such a fucking joke. Like there are so many contradictions in this under this umbrella of intersectionality. It's like it's mind blowing.
It's completely irrational. It's all just based on feelings, and most of those feelings are hate. Let me ask you this though: who wins intersectionality? Who's the highest or lowest on the ladder? Is
Oh, geez,
trans?
boy, that's a really good question and a very smart
Well,
question.
there's a lot that they don't talk about because they're inconvenient, like being mentally challenged. If you just have a low IQ, you have like a 60 IQ. No one ever talks about that intersectionalism, even though there's a huge handicap to life, right? I would put them at the top of the
I would
intersectionalist
put that at the
hierarchy.
top too. No, that's really smart. A really smart
Never
observation.
mentioned. I've never heard it mentioned
I would
once.
put them and the autistic community at the top
The
because the
autistic
autistic
community.
community is like now as a community, as an online community, is identifying with Free Palestine, BLM, LGBTQ, etc. And so many people deeply affected by autism are 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 transitioning without experiencing any dysphoria whatsoever. They're being groomed into it. They're being
I've heard this
processed.
before. Like autism is. There's a lot of autistic people that are in the trans community, and I doubt
Buddy,
they're suffering from gender dysphoria.
buddy, I'll tell you what. There trans activist community, the online trans activist community, and I just want to make very clear, I love and respect my trans colleagues and my intersex family member. This has nothing to do with being trans or anything or being a part of the gay community or anything like that. I'm talking about the online far left gender queer, Marxist, Marxist queer theory, kooks. The notion that, the notion that oh yeah, the community I was the extremely online far left trans activist community, half of them have autistic in their bio, along with the pronouns,
I
along
believe
with the
that.
land acknowledgement, along with Marxist Leninist, etc., etc. And I've said it before, and it bears repeating. If you guys ever get your little Marxist revolution, you're going to be the very first ones the nomenclatura lines up against the wall.
Do you think there's got to be something about being autistic and maybe not socializing, not living a traditional life? Maybe you're just kind of just inherently in front of a computer too much, so you really don't get that feedback of life that helps kind of just slap you out of Marxism,
I read a
and you just
great,
stay with it longer. Do you
I
think
read
that's
a
what it is?
well, I read a great essay from a person who is now detransitioning, and they're on the spectrum autistically, and they were groomed. Um, People that have autism, have obviously voids in their life that can be easily filled by people who want to prey on them online. And when you're not going outside and playing with your friends, and you're isolated and lonely, you can't imagine what an autistic person's going through when somebody on the spectrum who's not, who can function, right. They can make their own lunch. They can go to school, you know, you etc. But then they get immersed into the online world, and people proselytize them into all kinds of things. And she said that that the social media platform groomed her to do a transition, and she went to Planned Parenthood. People advised her to go to Planned Parenthood as a minor. She was 14 years old, 13 or 14 years old. And she went to Planned Parenthood. She was prescribed puberty blockers after one visit, and
Story I've heard way too much.
yeah, and she had top surgery at age 16.
Hmm. That
And
never happens. That doesn't happen. I
the
know what
thing
you're
that never
talking about.
happens that yeah, the thing that never happens, but it would be
Yeah.
good if it did happen. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. The classic argument by somebody who's got an extreme position on something doesn't. I don't know, man. It's. Do you want to close? Do you have a final thought on intersectionalism? And I say I want you to go first because I'm trying to think of one.
I would get in so much trouble with our producer if he was here.
Reproductive justice equals free Palestine. Yeah, I think that says it all. That says it all right there. There's nothing to do with each other at all whatsoever. That's why. Let me ask you this question: the LGBTQ flag, right? And you have the rainbow gay flag. To me, the LGBTQ flag is a purely political flag. The other one is not. So if it hasn't happened already, I bet you getting rid of the rainbow flag is going to be a huge part of the LGBT community, the online
That's a great
trans
prediction.
peoples.
That's a great prediction,
That's my prediction.
and foretold by what I just described earlier, where the trans activists kick the buys out of their little club
Yeah,
because because
exactly. This will be the next thing, I think,
right.
or
So
one of the next things.
there's that gif of the snake in a little in a petri dish, and it's wrapped around and it's eating its own tail, and it's going like that, right? And
Yeah.
every time I see something like that, it reminds me of that gif. Like,
Uh,
do you even hear yourself? Are you listening to yourself? Just listen to yourself now. And it's just, man, I'm I'm just glad I'm not burdened with a worldview that's so narrow and so
yeah.
toxic.
And any worldview that has simple answers to things, just run away from those people. Run as fast as you can fucking
Fast as you
go.
can.
Yeah,
Scott, it's always enjoyable. I love talking with you. And
I do as well.
well, let's
You,
wish
not
our
me. I don't. I love talking to you as well, not I love talking to me. That would make
You
no sense.
you love that I talk to you.
Yeah, sure. Yes, that's what I meant to.
And
Yeah.
we'll wish our producer Josh well. He's very much under the weather. He has a sore throat and congestion. All right, I love you, bro. Take care. Now listen,
Love you too,
I
man.
want a I want you. You have an assignment for next week, and that is I'm going to
Okay.
challenge because of you know your position on optics of the ice raids, which I
Hmm.
in a certain way agree with, but also you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. but all
Yes.
so uh, dwell on that for the next week. Let's see what else happens in California, and let's revisit it. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right, man.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.